We have wrap-ups of key local election issues, and one local school district says they are in more trouble than before. The Democrats swept crucial spots in the governor race last night.
And in sports, East meets West as Ohio hosts Toledo at Peden Stadium. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Living with the results of last night's election will be a little tougher for some communities. 2 failed levies are creating major money problems in the area. Good evening, I'm Abby Grisey. Thanks for joining us. For the third consecutive time, the Alexander school levy has failed after 64% voted against it in last night's election. Newswatch reporter Chelsea Sick is in Albany right now, talking with school board members about their thoughts moving forward. Chelsea?
Thanks, Abby. We are expecting a statement tonight at the Alexander School Board meeting about what the next steps are since this levy has failed. Ahead of the levy, many school employees expressed concern about what cuts would be made if this levy did not pass. Now, with the levy failing, Superintendent Lindy Douglas and School Board President Fred Davis says the district will have to make major budget cuts, and everything is on the table. In addition to more cuts towards staffing and busing, both say athletic programs could possibly take a hit. There's even talks of pay to play and participation fees, leaving some of the coaching staff on edge.
I'm hopeful that it doesn't negatively impact us, but you never really know. It's kind of worrisome for us as a coach, as someone who's paid by the school.
Superintendent Douglas says they will make a statement about what cuts will be made in March. Stay with Newswatch as this story develops. Reporting live in Albany for Newswatch, I'm Chelsea Sick.
Thanks, Chelsea. For more information about the Alexander levy, visit woub.org. After 121 years, the Meigs County Sheriff's Office and jail will remain as is. The results came in last night, and over 3,000 people voted against the Meigs County jail levy. If the levy had passed, the new $9 million correctional facility would have incorporated several recovery and addiction programs to combat the opioid epidemic. As of now, the jail will continue to operate the same way it has been, with only 5 cells available for inmates. Sheriff Keith Wood is disappointed by the results, but hopeful for the future.
I'm just trying to absorb what happened but still look at it as a positive, and there was a lot of people that supported it, and there was probably a lot of people on the other side that didn't support it. Maybe they didn't understand totally. So those 600 or 700 people that I got to get back my way and support it to get it over the hump, I mean, that's what we got to do, and so we try. We just try harder.
The levy may possibly make an appearance on the May ballot. Unofficial voting results are showing the Athens cannabis ordinance is passing easily in Athens. The results came in last night, and Taco passed with 2,000 yes votes compared to 598 no votes. Taco will depenalize and reduce fines for misdemeanor marijuana crimes to $0. Kayla Brown of Grassroots Ohio is one of the leaders who worked to get Taco on the ballot.
With the cannabis ordinance, we're trying to make not just a change to our local ordinances, but also a political and ideological statement about the will of the people and what needs to be changed to make our laws more just.
It is still unclear whether Ohio University police will continue to cite under the state code in which marijuana is fined or choose to follow the new city ordinance. The Federal Hawkins School Board will continue to balance the budget with 2 new members on the board. Candidates Carrie Sheridan Boyd and Sarah Brumfield took the lead after last night's election. Sheridan Boyd earned 29% of the vote, Brumfield earned 27%. Incumbent Lester Green will return to his spot on the board after winning 25% of the votes. Brumfield spoke to WOUB about what this win means to her.
Ecstatic. I'm so excited. This is something I've been pondering since last November. And so, after the last election, I was feeling a little discouraged. And, I think you'll see across the county there's a lot of women who have stepped up to run for local elections, especially school board. So I think you're going to see a lot of new faces around the county.
The new members will join the rest of the board at a school board conference in Columbus this weekend.
We got that rain out here from the last 2 days, and today it was actually fairly nice once those clouds kind of started to break up a little bit as the afternoon went on. But we still stayed pretty cool. But today we are at 41 degrees currently right now, and our wind is from the northeast at 3 miles per hour, dew point 32. And as we go into right now, it's actually 40s all across the region at 41, 40s the further north you go. And for tonight for OU football, 39 degrees. It's chilly, but it is dry. And most importantly, we need to beat Toledo. Back over to you, Abby.
Thank you, Grant. With both sides. With both sides having spent a combined estimate of more than $49 million on advertising, Issue 2 has been on Ohio's radar for months. But last night at the polls, a majority of Ohioans voted no on the initiative. The Drug Price Relief Act, aimed at managing drug prices for residents across the state, was rejected by nearly 80% of voters. The proposed issue would have required state agencies pay no more for prescription drugs than the Federal Department of Veteran Affairs, who receives a 24% discount.
Exerting civilian and state power against the pharmaceutical industry is something that, frankly, I thought we had bipartisan support for.
More than 75 organizations representing doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and veterans oppose the issue, saying Issue 2 would raise drug costs and reduce access to medicine for Ohioans. Crime victims in Ohio will have new protections in the state's constitution now that voters have overwhelmingly passed Issue 1, otherwise known as Marsy's Law. California Dr. Henry Nicholas, who financed most of the campaign, says this will guarantee victims get fair treatment in court. However, the ACL of Ohio's Gary Daniels says it also puts vague language into the Constitution and raises more questions than answers.
Much of the legal profession, the courts, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys are going to be left wondering the exact ramifications of this.
Daniels says the unconstitutionality of this new amendment could be questioned if provisions that give victims legal standing impede the rights of the accused. Officials in Ohio are charging 100 people with more than 750 drug-related offenses after busting a massive trafficking ring. Authorities say many of the charges involve fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. Members of one gang brought 1.4 million doses of fentanyl and carfentanil into Columbiana County over 3 years. Police made the arrests by spending hours listening to intercepted communications from wiretaps and making controlled buys. Drug task force leaders say these are arrests they have been waiting to make for a long time.
Task force can't do this without manpower, and this is a very successful case. I'm very pleased with the outcome. I'm pleased with the number of people that are heading to the county jail at this point.
It is likely not all of the people arrested will serve long sentences. Ohio's Attorney General says he would rather see some of the low-level offenders receive treatment. In addition to local results in last night's election, Democrats are celebrating today after sweeping seats in many key governor races. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming. It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is. The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Democrats across the nation are celebrating today after winning last night's governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia. Kristen Holmes is in Washington to break it all down.
The Democratic Party is back, my friends!
Democrats across the country claiming victory after a blue wave washed over the U.S. Tuesday night. The biggest win, a crushing defeat in Virginia's governor race. Democrat Ralph Northam handily beating out Republican Ed Gillespie in a race that was once considered a nail-biter.
What this message was yesterday is that the divisiveness, the hatred, the bigotry, the politics that is tearing this country apart that's not the United States of America that people love.
Members of both parties viewing the results as an indicator of what's to come in the 2018 elections, in a divisive political climate where President Trump's approval ratings are historically low. Trump weighing in, blaming Gillespie, a candidate he endorsed, in a tweet, saying he didn't embrace President Trump or what he stands for. And Democrats also turning out in New Jersey, electing Phil Murphy to replace Chris Christie as governor, putting the state back in Democratic hands for the first time in 8 years.
New Jersey is coming back.
Tuesday's losses leaving many in the GOP worried about their political futures, as Republicans and Democrats alike called the outcomes a referendum on the president.
There was an overwhelming thing that was looming large, and that was, I think, it was the divisive rhetoric, and I think that last night was a referendum.
Giving hope to Democrats going into the 2018 midterms. In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes.
Hillary Clinton weighed in on the 2017 election via Twitter. The former Democratic presidential nominee tweeted, "Last night was a great reminder of what's possible when we come together and fight for what we believe in. So I wanted to take a few minutes to celebrate the extraordinary successes of a few groups I, and Onward Together, proudly fight alongside." At a news conference in Richmond this morning, Northam outlined his vision for his administration and thanked his supporters for turning out.
What an exciting last 24 hours it has been, and I would just tell you that it's a real thrill for Pam and me and our family, and just tremendously humbled and privileged to be able to serve as the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
While 10% of first-time candidates usually win, 40% of first-time candidates around the country pulled out a victory last night. Vice President Mike Pence is in Texas showing his support to the Texas church massacre victims by meeting their families. New FBI investigations show that Devin Patrick Kelly was familiar with his targets, and he attended First Baptist Church in the past. Friends even say he recently bullied them online.
A lot of other students picked on me for losing weight. Also just, anti-God, preaching his beliefs of atheism, lots of gun violence videos.
Pastors from nearby churches will help the First Baptist Church host services on Sunday. While the election was in full swing, President Trump issued threats to North Korea and its nuclear program, warning Pyongyang not to try its luck with the U.S. Despite those harsh words, the president said he hopes a peaceful resolution can be reached. John Lawrence reports.
President Trump gives North Korea a stern warning.
Do not underestimate us, and do not try us.
During an address at South Korea's National Assembly, Mr. Trump delivered stinging threats to Pyongyang.
The weapons you are acquiring are not making you safer. They are putting your regime in grave danger. Every step you take down this dark path increases the peril you face.
The president also called for a complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula.
It was a tough speech, and I don't mind tough. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't beyond the edge. No rocket man, no fire and fury.
The president didn't call North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un any names, but he had a direct message to Kim about his family's legacy.
North Korea is not the paradise your grandfather envisioned. It is a hell that no person deserves.
Prior to the address, Trump said he was willing to negotiate with North Korea, saying it would make sense for Kim to try to make a deal.
The United States has no permanent enemies. And if you look at the cases of Germany and Japan, and the DPRK, or North Korea, doesn't have to be a permanent enemy either.
Just before Mr. Trump's speech, North Korean officials telling CNN they're sticking to their military testing plans, saying, "We don't care about what that mad dog may utter because we've already heard enough." I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Trump is the first U.S. president to give a speech to South Korea's parliament since President Bill Clinton in 1993. Trump landed in Beijing this morning. Fighter jets equipped with laser systems may become a military weapon in the near future. That story's still ahead.
We're going to have a look at the coldest air of the season coming in later this week, and we're going to have a look at the Veterans Day forecast. Also, the extended forecast is coming up next on Newswatch.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming. It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is. The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Grant Denman. We're sitting at 41 degrees right now. After today, it was pretty much a dry day compared to the last 2 days. So those clouds are finally getting out of the area. We're having that northeast wind at 3 miles per hour right now, so it's going to be a chilly one for the game tonight over at Peden Stadium here in probably about 10-15 minutes. So as we look at our high for today, we hit 49 as our actual high. 55 is our normal, so we're just a little bit below that for this time of year, but our record was 75, set back in 1932. And our actual low and our normal were identical today, which is actually very unusual for this time of year, it seems like. So once again, 39 degrees for the OU game tonight against Toledo. It's going to be chilly, so make sure you have those gloves and those hats. And compared to last week, it might actually feel a little bit warmer. And that wind will be calm, so you won't have to worry about a wind chill But as we get through the night, at 8 o'clock, we're at 38 degrees, 34 by midnight, and 31 degrees by 4 a.m. And those clouds will gradually get out of the area as we move towards the morning hours. And tonight, we're looking at 28 in New Lexington, 29 in Newark, 30 in Columbus. Our cool spot is actually 27 over in Chillicothe, and a lot warmer here along the river at 35 in Ripley and 33 in Ironton. But as we go through the night, we have this area of low pressure that's going to continue to push off to the east, but we have a high pressure that's going to be dominant over the area over the next 24 hours. And that cold front will continue to push off to the east, which is going to increase our winds for tomorrow and actually make us a little bit warmer as we go through tomorrow. So for the bus stop tomorrow, 30 degrees, chilly. Make sure you have those coats and those gloves, but thankfully that wind is going to be non-existent pretty much from the northwest at 0 to 5 miles per hour. For tomorrow, we're going to be at 31 by 8 a.m., 47 by noon, and 50 by 4 p.m. So we're going to warm up very nicely for tomorrow as that sun is going to be out and it is going to be bright. So as we go to tomorrow, 54 will be our actual high, very seasonal for this time of year. Sunny, clear skies, and like I said before, those winds are going to continue to pick up tomorrow out of the west from 5 to 10 miles per hour. So you might want to grab a jacket for the afternoon hours, but other than that, it's going to be picture perfect as there's not going to be a cloud in the sky tomorrow. And as we go for tomorrow, 51 New Lexington, the cool spot, 51 in Newark, 49 in Cambridge, 52 in New Martinsville, and 57 down in Ironton, just shy of 60 degrees. Now as we look at our forecast going ahead, 36 on Friday, that's when that cold front comes through. 20 degrees for high school football tournament games Friday night, so make sure you get the goats. 44 for Veterans Day, and chance of rain comes back for Sunday with a 50% chance. Back to you, Abby.
The Air Force is working with Lockheed Martin to develop high-energy laser weapon systems for its fighter jets. The platform has been called LANCE, which stands for Laser Advancements for Next Generation Compact Environment. The Air Force hopes to use the lasers for self-defense and protection from missiles and drones. Researchers are working on developing a jet-mounted pod system that will cool and power the lasers. The military is hoping to test the system by 2021. Let's head over to Nick to see what's coming up in sports.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Orsini. Tonight's sports stories include the Cavaliers' victory over the Milwaukee Bucks, plus more action tonight as Ohio welcomes Toledo to Peden Stadium. That and more when Newswatch returns. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up.
Buddy, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences. They want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Nick Orsini. It's midweek action tonight at Peden Stadium as the MAC East leading Ohio Bobcats welcome the MAC West leading Toledo Rockets. Tonight's game features the top two MAC offenses. Ohio averages just over 41 points per game, while Toledo averages 39. As of now, Ohio has a half-game lead over Akron after the Zips fell to Miami 24-14 last night. Now, the Bobcats beat the Rockets last year for the first time since 1988. Now, tonight's matchup might just be a preview of the MAC championship. Now, kickoff is set for 7 p.m., and the game is being broadcasted on ESPN2. Now, sticking to the gridiron, Houston Texans rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson underwent successful surgery to repair his torn ACL. Watson was having a Rookie of the Year caliber season before injuring his knee during practice. And for the first time in nearly 15 months, Teddy Bridgewater is back on the active roster for the Vikings. Minnesota had to place quarterback Sam Bradford on injured reserve, ending his season. Now, despite Bridgewater's return, head coach Mike Zimmer says Casey Keenum will be the starter for their Week 10 matchup against the Redskins. Now over to the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the struggling Milwaukee Bucks at the Q. The Cavs are struggling scoring right from tip-off, but last night they came out on fire, scoring 39 points in the first quarter. However, the Bucks would tie the game up after being down by as many as 13. Kevin Love led the Cavs with 32 points, while LeBron James finished with 30 to slip past the Bucks 124-119. Cleveland now hits the road for 4 straight away games starting on Friday with a matchup against the Houston Rockets. Now, in some college basketball news, 3 UCLA men's basketball players were arrested for alleged shoplifting in Hangzhou, China. One of those players was LiAngelo Ball, the younger brother of Lakers point guard Lonzo Ball. The 3 players were released on bail earlier today, but are required to stay at the hotel until the legal process is over. LiAngelo's dad, LeVar, says the arrest is no big deal, while Lonzo Ball says he has not spoken to neither his father nor his brother. However, if convicted, LiAngelo, Cody Riley, and Jalen Hill could face 3 to 10 years in prison. Now over to the ice, the Columbus Blue Jackets welcome the Nashville Predators to Nationwide Arena, trying to end their 2-game losing streak. After a scoreless first period, Matt Irwin snapped a shot past Jonas Korpisalo to give the Preds the lead in the second period. Pierre-Luc Dubois scored the equalizer for the Blue Jackets, but Nashville scored the final 2 goals in the game to win 3-1. Predators goalie Pekka Rinne stopped 35 of 36 shots to neutralize the high-powered Blue Jackets offense. The Jackets have now lost 3 straight and returned to ice on Friday to try to end their 3-game skid against the Carolina Hurricanes. And be sure to tune in to Sports Beat tomorrow on 1340 AM WOUB. Host Mitchell Lyons has men's basketball head coach Saul Phillips live in studio, plus the breakdown of Ohio and Toledo showdown, and Ohio women's basketball preview ahead of their matchup with High Point. It all goes down tomorrow at 6 p.m. tomorrow night with host Mitchell Lyons and producer Russ Heltman on 1340 AM WOUB. Now, I'm Nick Orsini, and that's a wrap for Sports Night. Abby, back to you.
Thank you, Nick. A 94-year-old veteran living in Las Vegas is finally getting his high school diploma. Nearly 78 years ago, Edward Hall enlisted in the Army and never graduated. When he came back from the war and tried to finish his education, he was denied. But thanks to a program called Operation Recognition, his graduation day finally came. His advice: get your education no matter what.
As we go into tonight, we're going to be 30 degrees. It's going to be cold, so if you're going out to that football game, just bundle up, grab those gloves, and grab those coats. Thankfully, it's not going to be as chilly as last week's game for the football, but it's going to be chilly by morning. And by tomorrow, we'll be warming up nicely. 51 New Lex, 54 here in Athens, 55 in Jackson, warm spot 57 in Ironton. But as we go forward, it's going to be a chilly one on Friday, 36, and 44 for Veterans Day on Saturday. Back to you, Abby.
Thank you, Grant. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Abby Grisey. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Buddy, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.